Hello, Stu. How are you?
That's a great question, Glenn. No idea. That's
Really?
my new
No
position
idea.
on that question. I have
Really?
no freaking idea.
So, in other words, it's going to be exciting to see how it all works out.
It really will.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Intense movie we're about to watch.
Got more intense last night. And I will share what I'm willing to share with you on the air today. But I want you to really hear me carefully. There is a grave danger that is building. And I want to talk to you about it. I saw it last night with my own eyes in a very small number. I want to make this really clear. Very small number of students. I saw it last night, and I want to talk to you about it. But first, let me set it up with this. So Christopher Rufo wrote, on the right, many supporters of Israel, I think that would be you and me, many supporters of Israel, because I'm a supporter, including prominent Republican politicians, argue that America has a theological duty to support the Jewish state. Now, I think personally, for me, I feel that's true. But what does that mean exactly? I'll get into it in a minute. Their view is based on a complex interpretation of Bible prophecy. As a Catholic, I find it mystifying. As a political analyst, I find it unconvincing. The other supporters would like to shut down critical analysis of the war altogether, equating criticism of Israel with antisemitism and suggesting those who question the wisdom of America's support should be unwelcome in polite society. I want you to know on the outset, absolutely wrong. Because you disagree with Israel does not make you an anti-Semite. It doesn't. It makes you a thinking human being, honestly. These moves might have been effective in the past, but not so much anymore. Instead of theological or shame-based approaches, friends of Israel must frame their arguments in terms of America's national interest. 100% right. 100% right. We need to understand our national interests. So, hear me out on this. So you know, I have received the Defender of Israel Award from Benjamin Netanyahu years ago. I was just named by the Jerusalem Post as the #1 Christian supporter of Israel in America. So I'm kind of known as, I guess, a Zionist. Okay, I believe that Israel has a right to exist and the Jewish people have a right to live. Somehow or another, you get awards for saying that. But I want you to understand something. My support is not blind loyalty, nor is it anything that makes me Israel first. Doesn't. God first, America second. Israel is in the pile of everything else. Okay? My first citizenship is to the kingdom of Christ. My second citizenship is to America. I will do nothing that will violate my citizenship, my passport to the kingdom of God. And I certainly won't violate things for my first citizenship to save my second citizenship. But that's the rank of my citizenship. God first, America right behind it. In the earthly sense, America first. Okay? No loyalty to the government of Israel. In fact, there's many things I don't like about the government of Israel. But you know what? I'm not a citizen. I don't vote, and I don't have to worry about their laws. When it comes to war, I want nothing to do with that foreign war. Or quite honestly, almost any foreign war. I'm tired of paying for it. I'm tired of our blood being shed. I want nothing to do. That's not my support of Israel or the Jewish people. What is required when we talk about these things is Israel's existence is not just about their national survival. It is about the survival of Western civilization itself. It is the only lone beacon in the Middle East that is standing against radical Islam. They're the only ones. They're the #1 target of radical Islam. Now, look at what's happening in the Middle East right now. Those countries that we used to think of as having real radical ties, now Saudi Arabia, they're actually saying, you know what, we can coexist. That's what's necessary. coexistence in the Middle East. As long as we have a reason, as long as we believe we each have a reason to live and we have a right to live, we can solve any problem. We can solve any problem. They are facing Islamicist evil. And that evil is the same evil that wishes to dismantle our civilization and our country. And it's happening in our own country. My support is not rooted in politics. It is rooted in something simpler and older than politics. A people's moral and historic right to their homeland and to their right to live in peace. That's it. And I would say that to anybody. If the Gazans wanted their own land and say, because this is a two-state solution that's been offered to them over and over and over again, but it wasn't river to the sea, which is the definition of wipe out all of the Jews. No Jews in this land, okay? You want to share? I'm totally fine with that. But I can't, I couldn't, we wouldn't put up with a neighbor who's constantly saying and trying to kill you. So when it comes to politics, I believe Israel has a right to defend herself against those who openly, repeatedly vow her destruction. But I'm not going to fight that. I don't agree with everything that Israel has done. But what difference does that make? Because I'm not asking for our dollars or our blood to be spent. I just say everybody has a right to live. But let me make it personal. If somebody told me over and over and over and over again that they wanted to kill me and my entire family, that I didn't have a right to exist, that I was the source of all evil in the world, and then acted on that threat over and over again, do you believe I would have a right to defend myself? If I couldn't get anybody in the world to listen and stand with me, and I had to do it all myself, would I have a right to take action in response to them? Remember, I believe, nature's law gives us a lot of stuff. If I walk into a bear cave and mama and the cubs are in there, I think the bear has a right to maul me to death because it senses trouble. Now, that's an animal. But if I go in and I'm hunting those cubs, mom does have a right to kill me. But that would, that would assume that she had any kind of intellect. Humans have intellect. If Hamas were Canada and we were Israel, and Hamas, Canada, did to us what Hamas did to Israel, answer this question honestly. Would there be a single building left standing north of our border today? If they came and raped the same percentage, killed, slaughtered, set our babies on fire, do you think that we wouldn't have crippled Canada right now? And no matter what anybody said, you think we would stop until that threat stopped? That's not a question of morality. That's just the truth. All people, everybody, has a God-given right to protect themselves, period. And Israel is doing that in the way they feel it's right. You can argue with that, and you can disagree vehemently with the way they're fighting the war. My support for Israel's right to finish the fight against Hamas comes after 80 years of rejected peace offerings, 2 failed state solutions. Hamas has not hidden its mission. Hamas says it's the eradication of Israel. That's not a political disagreement. That's not a reasonable disagreement in my book. It's not a land dispute. That's nihilists. That's people who are actually calling for genocide and proudly calling for wiping out of all the Jews. Okay. Do I believe that America should be in that fight? No. Do I believe it is in our national interest? Yes. To support the people who are standing up against what will be our possibly last foreign war, as Jefferson said. Islamists believe If you listen to what's being said in Dearborn, they are planning on Sharia law here in America. That will wipe everything of the West out, and they are moving into our countries. I have no problem with Muslims. I have a big problem with Islamists, and there's a huge difference. What we saw on October 7th was the face of evil. Women and children slaughtered. And beyond that, even the Nazis tried to hide it. Okay? The Nazis, they knew the rest of the world would not approve. These people were proud of it. We've played the tapes for you. Babies burned alive, innocent people raped, dragged through the streets. And now we see people defending that evil in our own country. That is nothing short of a moral collapse. That is probably the greatest danger that we have is this ideology that says, if I disagree with you, I can kill you. The confusion of, I disagree with Israel the way they're fighting a war, and so I'm going to say, I support Hamas because the Jews are always wrong, the Jews are lying, and I don't believe any of those videotapes because it was probably Jewish propaganda. That's moral collapse. If the chants in the street were, Hamas, give up the hostages, don't ever do things like that again, and Israel, for the love of Pete, stop the bombing, I'd be totally cool. Totally cool. Because that's reasonable. But that's not what we hear. We hear open sympathy for genocidal hatred. That is a chasm that is opened up in our society. And it's not just a chasm opening up, from decency, but from humanity itself. And that's where the danger lies. The same hatred that we saw in the 1930s, that I predicted would happen again in about 2008, that we would see it on our streets. That hatred is taking root here in Dearborn, in Minnesota, in London, in Paris, and not as horror, but heroism. And if we're not vigilant, the enemy that Israel is currently facing today will be the enemy that the free world will face tomorrow. That's not about politics. That is truth. It's not. It's about having the courage to call evil by its name and say, that doesn't happen. Never again, not in the future. That doesn't happen. You don't have to open a Bible to believe or understand this. You don't. But if you do, if you're a believer, then the issue cuts much, much deeper. And I wrote an op-ed on this, and I'll be publishing at glennbeck.com that goes deeper into that. But I don't expect you to believe the Bible or believe what I believe. I believe it's a very strong case, good versus evil here, or right versus wrong, if that's the way you want to phrase it, and national interest if you look at what the world is headed towards. This is not just about Israel's right to exist. This is about whether we still know the difference between right and wrong, good and evil, life and death cults. It's about, do we have the courage to stand for the principles that God outlined? And that's not, you're going to inherit the land or any of that crap. The principles of, you can live, I believe you have a right because you, just like me, are a beloved child of God. That's what it is. And if we don't have the courage to make the case, and we're trying to convince people just to blindly follow because God says, God expects us to kick into reason. God expects us to think things through. And God expects us to disagree. If we can't do those things, if we won't do those things, then the question is not, will Israel survive? The question is, will we survive? I want to tell you why I'm saying all this here in just a second. First, give me 60 seconds to tell you about Relief Factor. Most people think inflammation is just something that happens. You twist an ankle, you cut your finger. But the truth is, inflammation in your body happens deep inside your body, quiet, constantly, working against you every single day. It's the source of most of our pain, and it is the source of most of the disease in our body as well. You got to reduce the inflammation in your body. That same self-defense system that we have to protect us causes the inflammation, okay? And it starts to wear down your joints, it stiffens your movement, everything else. You need to be able to reduce that in a healthy way. And that's not with drugs. That's with natural ingredients that help your body just do what it's supposed to do. Kill the inflammation, recover, and move forward without pain calling all the shots. Give their 3-week quick start a try. It's $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. 800, the number 4-RELIEF. 10 seconds, station ID. So last night I was in North Dakota and I had a blast. The people at TPUSA are just doing an unbelievable job. This crowd last night, 2,500 people, was fantastic. They are awake. I mean, I was boring them with history for 90 minutes.
And they were still awake?
And they were still awake.
Wow.
Yeah, they were still awake. And like maybe 5 people got up and walked out. I mean, it was probably because I was boring them to death. But anyway, they were fantastic. We got to the questions, and I don't want to overstate the support of these questions, okay? But I want you to know it only takes one to change everything. My first question I got last night was from a very respectful kid who asked me about my religion. And he was very respectful, and we had a great conversation about it. And, you believe what you believe, I believe what I believe. Here's why. Let's just not divide ourselves. Everybody who's trying to fight for good, look at the fruits of the tree, and God will settle all this stuff. Okay, He will. If I'm not a Christian and that's the only way I can get to heaven, which I believe, well, then you know what? I'm going to hell. And I'll be very well aware of that when I get there. But that's for God to judge. And I'm not going to judge you. So it was great. The next question, and several questions after that, were, one of them ended, and the audience couldn't hear this, clearly because it was said by the person behind the person with the microphone. But it all was about the Jews. And when you talk about Israel, that's one thing. When you talk about the Jews, and again, don't think that you have to agree with Israel to not be anti-Semitic. You can be vehemently against the war and how they're fighting and Benjamin Netanyahu and all the politics you want, and you're not an anti-Semite. But when somebody says, like they did last night, who was lined up, where's your proof that Hamas did any of those things on October 7th? That's a Jewish conspiracy. We're in trouble as a movement if it's coming from our side, and it is.
This is Glenn Beck.
We'll continue our conversation, and I want to play some of the things that I said last night coming up. First, let me tell you about leaf filter. Your life has taken a strange turn when neighbors start texting ladder safety tips to you. That's when you know it's really gotten bad. It starts innocent enough. You're out there once a year, twice a year, cleaning the gutters, feeling productive, and then somebody sees you wobble, and suddenly there's a group chat called, Please Don't Die Falling Off the Roof. One guy's sending you YouTube tutorials. The other one's posting photos of his cousin's broken leg. Meanwhile, you're just trying to get the leaves out of the stupid gutters. Stu just went through this. I highly recommend that you stop doing that and you get leaf filter. Don't spend the season worrying about your gutters. They put a stainless steel mesh on top of it. It's permanent. It keeps those gutters clean year-round. Nothing gets through except for water. You don't need a near-death experience to teach you this. It's common sense. Get 30% off your entire purchase now. Get free inspection. Just call Leaf Filter, leaffilter.com/GlennBeck. Free estimate, free inspection, 30% off at leaffilter.com/GlennBeck.
Subscribe to the free email newsletter at glennbeck.com. It's every story we talk about every day. Sign up now, glennbeck.com.
Welcome back to the Glenn Beck Program. We are so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for listening to the broadcast today. I just got back late last night from North Dakota. I wish you would have been there, Stu. With TPUSA, It was amazing.
They're awesome.
Amazing.
They're awesome. I wish I was there, too. I saw that you're retiring. And so are you going to become a baker? Or are you going to be...
Yeah, somehow or another, I announced that I was retiring.
I didn't know that, but...
I didn't know that actually either. Seeing that I... just signed an extension to my contracts. That came out all wrong. I was talking about Charlie, and I was talking about how I was trying to teach, you've got to work for the things. Finish what you start. Get up every day and work and do the things you have to do to get. And I related it to when he was 16 years old. He said he wanted my job. He wanted to be like me, which translation, he wanted to be like Rush Limbaugh. He wanted the network show and everything else. And what I was trying to say was, I was going to say to Charlie, either last night when we saw each other, or when I saw him at AmFest, Charlie, I told you, well, kid, maybe someday, when he was 16 or 17 years old.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work. And I watched him, and he did the work. And I wanted to take that to the next step and say, good job. Good job. You deserve any way I can help you. I will mentor you. When I retire in 10 years, I'm never going to retire, but if I retire in 10 years, here are the keys. Take it. You deserve it. You deserve it.
I mean, he's such a powerful person in the movement, and that is something that you've talked about, I know, to me, even off the air, but
I think
on as well.
You are everywhere doing everything.
Yeah.
Why? Rush used to talk about this. I make my impact here. Charlie was making his impact everywhere.
Yeah.
In politics, in Washington. You know what I mean? But that's what I was trying to say. So didn't introduce my retirement at all.
I got so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, he's going away. And then you're like, oh, no, I'm staying.
Sorry. Not going to do that.
Unfortunately.
Here, let me give you a couple of things that I shared at TPUSA yesterday. I tried to, as I was flying up, I thought, I want to share some lessons that I've learned that are important. Cut one.
You promise me if I live my life the way you tell me to live my life, if I'm always doing what you ask me to do, you will take this from me.
This is about redemption. I don't know why they cut the ones with me crying.
And my life changed overnight.
See, I feel like if I was out on a ship, I wouldn't want my captain to be crying like this.
The truth is about you that you have running in your head. But it's probably not very good. We all have these things. Oh, if people only knew, if people only knew what I thought or what I did, or I'm not good enough, I'm a fraud, whatever it is. That's a lie. Maybe somebody in your life has been telling you that crap. Turn that off. Turn that off. You are a divine daughter and son of God with all of the rights and privileges that go with that. You are equipped with everything you need. Don't let anyone tell you somebody stands in your way. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. The system is rigged against you. I am a son of God. I have everything I need.
So you're retiring to be a yacht captain?
No, I'm going to take over for God.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he talked to me. He's going to turn the keys over. He's retiring. He's going to turn the keys over to me. Here I am talking about the recipe for success. Hopefully, I'm not crying in this clip.
Please help me.
I meet 1 million people all the time who say, I want to have your job. Usually what they're saying is, I want the fame or I want the fortune. And I'm like, you can have that. It's battery acid to the soul. Really, you want my job? Yeah. Well, I'll help you any way I can. If you want to intern or you want mentorship, I'm willing to do that. No. Nobody finishes. Nobody's willing to actually put in the work. You're not paid what you're paid because you kind of phone it in. You only succeed when you are doing everything all the time, and you are focused and you're disciplined and you work hard and you finish what you start. When that happens, the whole world changes. I'm telling you, work hard. People who are successful will see it, and you'll rocket to the top.
That is the section where I was talking about Charlie. He did the work. He did the work. He deserved to get the breaks because he created them. Next one. I talked about, is there bad? Listen to this.
There is no such thing as bad things. It's what you do with it. It's what you're going to do with Charlie Kirk's death. You had a choice. Choose death, choose anger, choose vengeance, or choose life. Choose charity. Choose peace. Choose forgiveness. And look how you've already changed the world. There is no such thing as bad if you make the choice to see the good that can come from it.
It was a great night. I could have spent. I could have sat down with those people all day long. There is great hope for America in the youth.
And the bravery and the focus of that organization to continue with these events after everything that's happened.
Let me tell you something. Real, true bravery.
Yeah.
True
awesome.
Bravery. It's just great. And I talked to him last night, and I want you to hear this, and I want you to share this with people who are their age. Do you know what people were saying about the greatest American generation? Back in the day, as is in the 30s, everybody's, doesn't have a job. It's the Great Depression. Things are not going well. We just came out of the Roaring 20s. So now these kids who were born in the 20s, they had refrigerators. This is what their parents and their grandparents and everybody else said about that generation. They didn't have to go out and cut ice. We used to have to cut ice. We had to milk the cow every day. We wanted milk. We didn't have a refrigerator. Okay. We had to plow the fields by hand with horses. Now they get on their tractors. These kids are soft. They haven't had to work a day in their life. You turn the keys over to them. God help us, because they don't have any work ethic. They don't know how hard it is to actually. All of the same things you're hearing about the 20-somethings now is what was said about the 20-somethings in the 30s, and those 20-somethings were the ones who became the greatest American generation. So it's normal for us to say these things because when I was a kid, that happens every generation. Cut this generation some slack. Look at what's happening with the kids at TPUSA. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say kids. The college students, the 20-somethings. Look at what's happening. Then look at those who are still in their teens. They're different. What we have to do is let them know, gang, this is your country. This is your country. You're going to be the generation that fixes it. It's not my generation. We're the forgotten generation. We're just trying to hold things at bay. The generation before us screwed everything up. They're hippies and everybody's got to have everything and all of this crap. And then because we lost view of actual morals, actual moral sentiments, and we just got trapped into fame, fortune, everything's about money, all of that. We started worshiping other gods. We lost it. They instinctively know this isn't right. They instinctively know this isn't going to last. They instinctively know. I didn't know that when I was in my 20s. I didn't see the problems. They see the problems. They may not know how to fix it yet, but that's our job. Our job is to teach them principles, not the answers. Principles. They will find the answers, and they're going to be the ones that either push us into slavery or push us into freedom. I see great hope on the horizon every time I'm with these kids. Every time I'm with them, I realize, oh my gosh. I remember David Barton and I talked while we were at Fox, and he said to me, I got news for you, Glenn. We're not going to change it. And I'm like, what? Then what? What? He's like, we're not. look at history. And he taught me some history about how it happened in the Revolutionary War. He's like, we're the ones who teach. We teach the youth, and the youth are going to be the ones that are fixing it. And that's true. Charlie's generation, they learned from me and David and others like us on Fox. They took it and then went to Hillsdale and actually got a real education that they didn't pay for. They didn't care about the diplomas. He didn't care about he just wanted to do the work. He really, truly was hungry for the truth, and he looked for it beyond today's truth. He went to ancient truth and then worked his way forward. When I thought, we're not going to be able to fix this. No. I'm like, oh, geez, it's not our job. Our job is to teach. Their job is going to be the ones that set the country right and design it the way, this is very Jeffersonian, set it the way they choose. It is now their future. I prefer they don't, decide to liquidate all of us over 65 at some point. Well, can't afford health care, Grandpa, you're out. But they will find the right path. Have faith in the future, because you have faith in God, and God sent these people at that age. They were born for a reason, and I believe they were born to save the world from authoritarianism. So have great hope. And thank you, TPUSA. Thank you, Charlie, for everything that you built. All right, let me tell you about Good Ranchers. I've heard a lot of legends in my time. The Loch Ness Monster, which is not a legend. That's true. Bigfoot. I lived in the Pacific Northwest, saw them all the time. Supermarket meat, actually from American farms. That one's... One of those three is real, and it's not Bigfoot. Somewhere along the line, we started believing that the stuff in those little plastic trays come from neighboring farms with happy cows and guitar music playing in the background. But here's the truth. Most of it is imported. It's frozen. It's shipped halfway around the world before it hits your grill. Why would we do that as we're putting our own ranchers out of business? Good Ranchers is different. Every box is 100% American meat, beef, chicken, seafood, raised right here, packed here, delivered to your door. Don't believe that product of the USA sticker. There are so many loopholes to that. It's not true. Now through Thanksgiving, Good Ranchers is asking families to share a meal together every Thursday. Every week, one lucky family will win a free Thanksgiving ham. Just share a photo of your Instagram story, tag Good Ranchers, and use hashtag back to the table. They're just trying to get people back to the table as families and saving those ranches and farmers so they can continue to do what they do best. GoodRanchers.com. Use the promo code Beck. When you subscribe, you get an additional $40 off plus free meat for life. That's promo code Beck, $40 off plus free meat for life. GoodRanchers.com. GoodRanchers.com. Welcome to the table.
Freedom's worth a lot more than comfort.
Here's what I found on the web about that private conversation you just had.
What? Are you uncomfortable yet? Glenn Beck is back after this.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. We're glad you're here. Boy, there is a ton going on in today's world. There's a lot. President is going to Egypt on Sunday. He'll be over in Egypt, and they're going to sign the peace deal. That is such a historic thing. Such a historic thing.
Massive development.
Yeah.
You just pray that it continues to go down the right road. He's working so hard along with everybody, I think, involved in this. I was listening to some coverage on this from the mainstream media this morning, and it was interesting to hear them talk about it because they're sort of perplexed by Trump. You know what I mean? I think there is an element of people who just hate him no matter what he does. And there's an element in the mainstream that is just like perplexed as to everything he does. They don't understand any of it. Yeah. And they're coming around to this version of understanding where they're
let's see if you think the same thing I do. I'm interested. Go ahead.
Where they're seeing it almost as like he's able to disrupt. It's almost a disruptor version. And they see it as
that's true, though.
I think it is true, where he is so unmoored to every, what was the thing that Kamala used to say?
Not emburdened by
what has been, whatever that nonsense was. It's, in a way, it really applies to him. Yeah. He doesn't care about what an advisor to Kissinger thought, a million years ago. He just does it. He does what he thinks is right. There are times where, you might not like that approach. But in this situation, it seems to be the only thing that could have possibly shaken anything like calcification around these conversations. Yeah. It's never been able to move at all.
So it's so funny that you say that, because I think that's accurate. And that's an accurate view of him. He doesn't care about, the mores of the past. However, all I'm hearing is, he's only doing it for the Nobel Prize.
I have heard that as well.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. They've said that one explicitly.
Oh, yeah.
He just wants the Nobel Prize. And it's like...
Yeah, that's the only thing he cares about. He's not saving people. Or do you know how much this guy cares about war? He hates war. He hates it.
You don't understand that as a businessman, right? Even outside of just the fact that he actually likes people and wants them to live, which I know the left can understand. But also, it's very disruptive to try to do anything in a situation like that. And he is, so for multiple reasons, he is that way and has been that way for a long time. Right. He really cares about this. But even if his motivation were the trophy, so who cares what his motivation is if this happens?
Look at the fruits of the labor. Yeah. Look at the fruits of the labor. And anybody who's saying that, the Jews control, did you see how he pulled this off? You're not listening to Benjamin Netanyahu or AIPAC or anybody else. Or at least that's what my Zionist master has told me to say. More It's Friday, America. Coming back in a minute.
This is Glenn Beck.